simplistic form of thinking change the way we interpret the experiences that we've had?
No, that's the cognitive approach. The cognitive approach says, okay, an event happens, A. We think about it, we interpret it, we give it meaning, B, and then we have an emotional behavioral response, C. And in cognitive therapy, what you would say is if you change that B to a different thing, to a D, that says it has a different meaning, it has a different value, it has a different place in our life, then we will have a different emotional behavioral response. So you change the C to a new E. So that's basically what cognitive therapy is about, is changing how we think about things. And it's very powerful, it's very useful in a lot of ways, and there's techniques that I think can be very helpful to people who are suffering with PTSD, people who are suffering with anxiety. The difficulty is that you have to recognize that sometimes, well, this is how I have changed in my understanding of the way that humans operate, is that I'm no longer a cognitive therapist. I now believe that when an event happens, a memory, an interaction, a fantasy, when an event happens, we immediately have an emotional behavioral response. And that's the result of what is in the thought field. Then I think what we do, because we're human beings, is we think about what our response is and we try to come up with a reason why we responded the way we did. So I think then we try to impose what our thinking is on, oh, I had that response because I'm thinking about it this way. But actually the response and the behavior happens before we actually even think about it. So what happens is with every event that we have, there is a fundamental response that occurs. There's a thought field that happens at the control level. And that determines what our emotional behavioral response is. And if we're going to change that emotional behavioral response, what we have to do is make a change at that control level. And that's what thought field therapy does. By tapping on the meridians in a specific sequence, we're providing coded information to that thought field. So it's like when you tap in the right sequence, you know, under eye, underarm, under collarbone, it's like that's a combination. And when the combination is done in the right order, the lock opens. And that changes something at a fundamental level. And we experience then that event in a different way.